When you hear or read the word Grinch, what's the first thing that comes to mind? Do you think of that strange green creature who lives on the top of Mount Crumpet? Do you hear Boris Karloff's deep bass voice describing the most miserable of creatures? Or maybe you're thinking about the person you just saw at Thanksgiving that never seems to have the Christmas spirit. Or maybe you're thinking about yourself. Whether you've read the original Dr. Seuss's How the Grinch Stole Christmas as a bedtime story, or gathered the family together to watch the television special, or hit the theaters for the many movie adaptations, you know how this story never seems to leave our imagination. How the Grinch Stole Christmas by Theodore Dr. Seuss Geisel opens with a sad, miserable, red-eyed creature loitering about the opening of a dismal cave. The Grinch is this sad creature who lives in isolation, seemingly happy with nothing. A miserable creature whose heart is 2 sizes too small. But should we hate the Grinch? Being a Grinch certainly isn't a term of endearment. But could it be that the Grinch is actually worthy of our sympathy? I mean, it's easy to push against someone who hates Christmas to such a degree. But what if we exchanged the word Christmas with politics, or Hawaiian pizza, or Tom Brady? You know, anything you're not supposed to discuss around the dinner table with guests. In other words, if we take a moment to think about our own story, I'm sure we'll find something that we hate just as much as the Grinch hates Christmas. But Christmas? Really? With the music and the decorations and food and presents, how could anyone not love the Christmas season? And maybe that's why the Grinch has captured our imagination for so many years. The story tells us that the Grinch hated Christmas. And in the book, the word is italicized for emphasis. The Grinch wasn't just having a bad day. It's not that he received an awkward present under the tree or someone didn't give him an invitation to the office Christmas party. He hated Christmas. When reading this story to my kids, I always emphasized hated. And as if scripted, my kids had the same response. Their eyes got big, their mouth turned down, because the Grinch's hate for Christmas is unexpected and surprising. And immediately we're left wanting to know more. We might think we remember why the Grinch hated Christmas, but actually we're never told in the original story. It would make sense if the Grinch had a bad Christmas memory or was ostracized by the seemingly joyous Who's, or maybe this is regrettably part of your story as well. Maybe Christmas isn't a joyful time for you because of tragedy or missed opportunities or unexpected changes that meant your traditions would never be the same. But I like how Dr. Seuss makes the Grinch's hate ambiguous and left unanswered, because hate doesn't need much of a reason to consume us. Which came first? His hate for the Who's or his hate for Christmas? Ultimately, I'm not sure it matters. You see, when hate seeps into our thinking, it distorts our vision like a circus funhouse mirror or a bad Snapchat filter. It takes what is beautiful, uses it as a weapon, and makes it ugly. Christmas is beautiful. Christmas is profound. Pondering the mystery of Christ's birth is never exhausted, but the Grinch's hate for the Who's meant that the only solution that would satisfy his small heart would be to take away what they love, use it as a weapon, and forever mar their memory. Memories are powerful, and because memories are powerful, there's a great temptation for making Christmas perfect. What might happen if we get the wrong gift, or our Christmas Eve sermon isn't clicking on all cylinders, or we burn the Christmas turkey, or Christmas Eve isn't just so? I won't say that Christmas is never as perfect as we imagine it to be, but I can say that perfection isn't a prerequisite for celebrating Christ well. The Grinch hopes that the joyful music of the season might be remembered as a clanging, discordant, symbol. So, the Grinch developed a wonderful, awful idea. He was going to stop at nothing to keep Christmas from coming. Do you hate anything? We might think that hate is a bad word, but it's not without biblical precedent. God spoke through the prophet Amos against Israel's injustice and arrogance, saying, I despise your festivals, and I take no delight in your solemn assemblies. Take away from me the noise of your songs. I will not listen to the melody of your harps, but let justice roll down like waters and righteousness like an ever-flowing stream. Is it wrong to hate? Maybe it depends on what you hate. Through Amos, the Lord also says, hate evil and love good. It seems counter to the Christmas message to mention the word hate, but if we light candles of peace, hope, love, and joy, that light is meant to dispel something. Lighting the candle of peace means we hate war. Shining a hopeful light means we hate despair's shade. A worshipful joy should stamp out our mourning. And a candle of love reminds us to let love be genuine, hate what is evil, hold fast to what is good. I'm convinced that few of us love evil and hate what is good. The problem is our definitions for good and evil can so often be confused. The Grinch assumes that stealing away what he thinks is Christmas will stop Christmas from happening. After returning from his midnight masquerade, he waits on Mount Crumpet for the weeping and wailing he feels certain will happen. He leans in to hear a sound coming from Whoville, but instead of wailing, he hears singing. And he's astoundingly surprised. Why didn't his plan work? He did exactly what he set out to do, and yet the outcome, thankfully, fell short of his expectations. Advent is a season of expectation, like a child holding her breath until Christmas morning. But our expectations and God's gifts often aren't the same thing. The manger is the throne of God, and it is disarming. We hear that the Messiah will be the Lord of Lords and the Prince of Peace, and he shall reign forever and ever. And then, like the shepherds, we find a child wrapped in swaddling clothes, and we're amazed and totally disarmed. And when we are disarmed, we have created a space for peace. At the church I serve during the first week of Advent, we light the candle of peace because without peace, there is little time for hope or love or joy. Often, peace begins with the self. Looking in the mirror, being at peace with the person that's staring back. Maybe that's why the Grinch is so gruff and angry and bothered by everything. Maybe he hasn't found peace in his own skin. After all, the Christmas story is how God entered into our skin and redeemed it. And if you can't look at your own reflection and recognize that what's staring back at you is a child of God, you might understandably detest the annual celebration of the Incarnation because it is a reminder that God loves us more than we sometimes love ourselves and our neighbor. Or it could be that the Grinch's shoes are too tight. The Christmas story surprises us and disarms us, hopefully long enough to find peace, peace with ourselves and peace with our neighbor. When we are at peace with ourselves and one another, we begin to discover how exhausting and unfruitful hate is. But the Grinch isn't there yet. And as we will soon see, he is in for quite a journey.